Chuck?
First of all, I'd like to thank you three gentlemen for taking on this challenge. That's a very extreme challenge. We know what the target is, to get Wolf out of there. But the more immediate question for Democrats is, which of you should we back? Okay, because you have got, the obvious talent, experience, desire, passion, commitment. I'd like each one of you to answer the question why we should pick you over the other two. Let's start right here with Jeff.
You went first.
First, everybody's got a great resume. Everybody around here has got a great resume. It's not, it's about what you're going to do when you get there. It's that old thing about President Kennedy when he was, after the inauguration, they all get to the Oval Office and he sits back, kind of looks at his staff and says, okay, now what do we do? In my perfect world, I'd get on a financial services committee, the old House Banking Committee. That no Virginians on it, zero. If you can't do that, Ways and Means, there's already one Virginian on that. The House Minority Whip. Also, like the Intelligence Committee, because we have a huge intelligence business in this area, and that is the future of the whole defense and national security bit. I have a top secret security clearance. I've had one since '82. My last polygraph was just past November. I would be perfect for that. They could plug me in a lot of different places. When we get there, we're going to be the giant killers. We're going to be the guys who took down Frank Wolf. That's the mindset you have to have. You're not walking in there as some backbencher. It's like, oh yeah, we've heard about you. Financial services, because that is key to our area. It's mandatory. Very quickly, I am extraordinarily optimistic about this area. We live on top of the richest fiber dirt on earth. We are the capital of the internet age right here. We have Dulles Airport, the last airport on the East Coast with expansion capacity. We have great schools. We have people here have global networks, their own personal networks, not just business networks. Lousy transportation, that things fix. But there is every reason to be extraordinarily optimistic. So, why should you vote for me? Because I'm going to work the financial aspects of average families hard. I'm not going to vote against the Consumer Protection Agency that Frank just voted against. I'm going to champion it. I'm going to try to get it through. I understand the biggest business, the IT business out here. From my business, from my work with Alvin Toffler, I work the intelligence community, and I'm going to be out. I'll be out talking with you guys. John Faust is. Every time I go somewhere, John Faust is there, and I'm going to bring that same energy to you guys. Hope that answers your question.
That's a good question, John. It's a tough question, too. I've got to admit that I haven't thought as far down the road as Jeff has. I haven't thought about committee assignments and that sort of thing. I'm focused on getting the nomination and then winning in November. After that, we'll look at the landscape and see what's possible. Something that Dennis said earlier is very true. It is a difficult fundraising environment right now. Aside from the economics of it, there's also an awful lot of anger, frustration about what happened in November. And it hasn't dissipated very much at all. And it's going to be tough, as Dennis said, to raise money. I think that successful in getting the nomination and to be successful in winning in November, you've got to be able to raise at least as much as Judy raised, and I think I'll be able to do that. I think that you have to be the right candidate at the right time with the right message, and I think I'm the whole package right there. One thing that Jeff brought up was average voter in the town, and I think that my background, my experience relates very well with the average voter in the town. That's been a problem in the past, I think, with some of our candidates. And to continue to run the same type of candidate again and again and again, I wouldn't expect to have any different result. It's AA's definition of insanity. You continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. So, I think I've got the right issue, I think I've got the right message, I think I'm the right candidate, and I think this is the right time.
Two reasons, and actually that's a very easy question. It's fundamental why I'm running. One is an observation. In national elections, whether it's president or senator, and whether it's Tennessee where I grew up or Massachusetts where I spent time as a student or early professional, not 100%, but very often the issues of the election are not the issues that the candidate faces when they're in office. Certainly at the presidential level, but again at the senatorial level and at the House of Representatives. And what I mentioned in my earlier remarks is what I think differentiates me and why I'm running for Congress, is that as an architect I bring a problem-solving mentality. And it's very hard to describe because it is a very different way of looking at issues. You cannot not solve the problem in architecture or you fail. You cannot fail. You have to get to yes. You have to get people to yes. And it's that problem-solving ability, creative problem-solving ability, and the ability as an architect to visualize in very concrete terms a solution that's 4, 5, and 6, and even 20 years out. I did a master plan for Massachusetts General Hospital 23 years ago. And a year and a half ago, they opened the first piece of that. It was a hotel. If any of you have been to Boston, it was the old Suffolk County Jail. It's a big, huge, hulking granite jail. And we were going to turn that into a hotel. And we did the master plan on that 23 years ago. And they built it just like we laid it out in those just sort of broad and sort of sketchy conceptual terms. And it's that ability to solve problems, to see solutions in concrete terms well before they're executed, as to why I think I bring something that the other candidates, and Frank Wolf, and a lot of people in Congress don't have. There's an amazing statistic. Only one architect was elected to Congress in the entire 20th century. It's an amazing statistic when you think of doctors. Certainly you have lawyers, political science majors, military people in Congress. It's an amazing statistic. And one reason, I talked to architects in the American Institute of Architects about this, why is this so? Because the AIA has plans in place for architects that will step up to run for office at any level across the country. But architects are reluctant to do so. It's because as architects we know we have to get to a solution and execute, and there's this bit of an inferiority complex in architects about failing. Even though they tell you in architecture school, don't be afraid to fail, because if you're afraid to fail, then you're afraid to stick your neck out there. And that's what I bring to this race, is the problem-solving ability and the confidence to stick my neck out there. And I know that the issues we run on today, some of them will be the ones that I address, but there are going to be issues coming our way that we have no idea what they are. And it's the ability to address those issues and deal with those issues and come up with solutions with those issues is why I think I should go to Congress.